Chapter 1061, An Extravagant Action. At Tang Xiu's words, Duanmu Lin's heart sunk and his expression turned ugly. After some time, he murmured, "Then, what should I do now? If that horrifying demonic beast were to lead the rest of demonic beasts to attack our defensive line, there's no way we could fend them off. If my estimation is correct, the number of demonic beasts in the Himalayas is definitely not as simple as tens of thousands. The number is likely much more than that." "I think you have a correct estimation." Tang Xiu forced a smile and said, "The number of demonic beasts in this mountain range is definitely over tens of thousands. The Himalayas is too vast, and there must be a lot of demonic beasts in its depths we have no means to investigate. What is certain is that their number should be far more than 10,000. "Do you have any good ideas, then?" asked Duanmu Lin. "Can the array you arranged withstand that horrifying demonic beast?" Tang Xiu nodded. But then he shook his head and forced a smile. "The array I arrange can kill that fearsome demonic beast, and I'm sure I can trap it and kill it inside if I control the array. But then again, there are two demonic beasts. The rest of them may not be that powerful, but if they and that particularly terrifying demonic beast were to team up, they could easily break the array." Prior to this, Duanmu Lin also pinned his hopes on the geomancy array Tang Xiu was about to arrange. But now, when he heard Tang Xiu's explanation, a deep sense of powerlessness engulfed him. In case the array couldn't fend off those demonic beasts, what could he and the others do? Was there no other choice for him and the others but to come out and fight those demonic beasts head-on? With so many demonic beasts, the gap between the number of cultivators compared to the number of demonic beasts was too big. It was impossible to stop them. After staying silent for a while, Tang Xiu asked, "Senior Duanmu, I'm afraid you'll need to mobilize all the cultivators in the country. We cannot hide this issue anymore. If you can, I hope you can invite some cultivators overseas to return to China to help us. To the best of my knowledge, there are cultivators of some Taoist schools who migrated overseas many years ago. If you can secure their help, it's likely that we can defend against the demonic beasts much easier." "Foreign cultivators?" Duanmu Lin let out a bitter smile and shook his head. "First of all, I know nothing about any of those monastic sects in foreign countries. Even if I did, they may not come back to help us. Tang Xiu, there are some things you don't know. After the founding of China, the country exterminated some of the cultivator forces. I'm afraid those cultivator schools who have left our country just don't like us anymore. Certainly, many of those purged cultivator forces were evil. Their actions then incited public wrath with their evil deeds, which was the very reason they had been targeted by the state. That's not necessarily true." Tang Xiu shook his head and said, "As far as I know, there's a Taoist monastic sect out of this case. The elders of this sect found a heavenly blessed land overseas. That place is suited for their cultivation, so they migrated there. They are not against our country and are also good people, I think." "Which sect are you talking about?" asked Duanmu Lin quickly. "I don't know about the others. I only know one." Tang Xiu shook his head and said, "Also, didn't you say there are still many hidden cultivation forces in China? We're now facing a crisis, so it's best to invite them all. The more powerful people we have, the better. Otherwise, not only will we get killed in case of a major crisis, but our country and its people will also plunge into misery and extinction. Then you're responsible for inviting the cultivators of that sect, Tang Xiu," said Duanmu Lin. "See if they can return to China and help us. And I'll contact other cultivators and try to get them to help." "Roger that," replied Tang Xiu. After saying that, he returned to their camp with Mo and the rest. In the military tent, Tang Xiu took the communication signet from Daoist Zixuan. After contemplating for a moment, he then immediately activated it. He himself didn't hold many hopes, but shortly after, a message was transmitted from the communication signet from the other side of the earth and appeared in front of Tang Xiu. "Tang Xiu, We've long been waiting on an empty island near your Nine Dragons Island. Since you've changed the trading location to the vicinity of the Himalayas in China, we'll immediately catch up with you there. Don't worry about the crisis there. We'll aid you in fighting the enemies. Our sense of honor and duty does not allow us to neglect it. A satisfied look was cast on Tang Xiu's handsome face. He secretly nodded, and his impression toward the whole unitary sect turned much better. At the very least, their willingness to return to China and help the country face those demonic beasts was very noble. Quickly after, Tang Xiu no longer bothered himself with Daoist Sichuan and her whole unitary sect. He fully devoted himself to his cultivation. His injury was recovering quickly and his strength was in constant improvement. After he communicated with the stars in the universe once again, he absorbed more and more astral power, so that the first planet in the universe formed in his dantian immediately increased in size, about tens of meters in diameter. A strong life force and boundless energy could also be felt exuding from it. Isn't this at least 5 times stronger than before? 2 days later, Tang Xiu floated up and felt the huge force residing in his body. A satisfied smile appeared on his face. Prior to this, he could only fight that particularly fearsome demonic beast if he were to unleash various magical abilities, but now he was confident that he could defeat it with his own strength. I can easily kill demonic beasts at the Foundation Establishment and Golden Core stages if I encounter them now. Shortly after, he came out of the military tent with a happy smile. Just as his eyes swept toward the surroundings, however, the smile on his face receded, because 200 or so Tang sect disciples cast their eyes on him with respectful faces and full of spirit. "Your injuries healed already?" asked Tang Xiu after glancing at them. Mo Og glanced at Hao Lei and quickly went toward Tang Xiu. Then, he respectfully reported. "Our injuries have all convalesced, Sect Master. We can join the battle at any time, and everyone is waiting for you to finish your cultivation and bestow us cultivation resources." His report made Tang Xiu grinningly smile. Well. No wonder you're all waiting here, huh? It turns out that your heads are all full of cultivation resources. All right, take out the demonic beasts you've hunted. I'll count them and reward you with cultivation resources. As you will it. A look of joy could be seen on Mo's face. After complying, he quickly took out demonic beasts' remains from his interspatial ring. He was not the only one to do that, but also Jinshi and Hao Lei. In but an instant, the place was full of demonic beasts' dead bodies. You guys are very good. Tang Xiu spoke with satisfaction. All of them added up, you've killed more than 300 demonic beasts. Oh, start distributing cultivation resources now. Give them to the team captains and let them distribute the rewards according to their merits. Do remember, you don't need to be stingy on the rewards, be it the pills, weapons, or various talismans. As I told you before, you can get handsome rewards as long as you score achievements in this battle. At least, you won't be short of resources in the following battles. Finally, Tang Xiu's eyes landed on Hao Lei and he smilingly said, as of now, besides Gu Xiaoxue, Gu Yin, Tang Guang, and Tang An, Hao Lei is the first to become a Golden Core stage expert among you all. With this, she has earned my admiration because her aptitude is not ranked the best among you all, and yet her cultivation speed is the fastest. Therefore, you deserve to have these. Tang Xiu then took out 2 jade bottles from his interspatial ring and threw them to Hao Lei. Then, he continued, as promised, these are the rewards I promised. I've added some more for you in the hope that you can make persistent efforts so as to break through to the mid-stage of Golden Core earlier. I also hope that you can advance to the nascent soul stage earlier later on. Hao Lei received the 2 jade bottles. After opening and observing it, a look of surprise suddenly appeared on her face. But as she was about to speak, Tang Xiu threw her an interspatial ring, indicating that this ring was also a reward for her, so she could store her personal belongings inside. Thank you, Sect Master. Hao Lei was completely overjoyed. Tang Xiu's reward was truly rich. Especially this interspatial ring, which was something she really wanted. Tang Xiu waved and said, "There's no need to thank me. You deserve them. I already told you all that outstanding disciples of the Tang sect can get a lot of resources. Those who have outstanding results will also earn themselves more and thus, will achieve greater achievements in the future. I want you all to compete with your peers. The more you compete, the more pressure you'll face. Only by facing more pressure can you have more motivation. All I need is the elite of the elites, I don't need any trash around me." At this moment, all the Tang sect disciples looked more resolute and determined to fight for victory. They all gripped their fists tightly, and frantic looks could be seen glittering in their eyes. Cultivate and become stronger. Only by becoming the most outstanding disciple of the sect would they be able to have more resources for cultivation later, and only then would they be able to achieve greater achievements in the future. Cultivation had become the common goal of Tang Xiu and the 200-odd disciples of the Tang sect. It was also imperative for them to improve their strength as much as possible before the final crisis arrived. When Tang Xiu returned to the tent, he directly took out a large number of demon cores. Due to his advancement in his cultivation level, the amount of demonic power essence he could absorb was 10 times faster than before. Further, he also used these demon cores to arrange a spiritual energy gathering array and used 108 demon cores at one time. That was a luxury and very extravagant in and of itself. Such a level of consumption was something he never dared to try prior to this. But now, he was filthy rich and had no less than 2,000 demon cores in hand. He didn't hesitate to expend them as long as it could rapidly enhance his cultivation. What rich spiritual energy of the world! How come the density of spiritual energy here increased so much? This is so strange. All the disciples of the Tang sect in the surrounding tents looked astonished. When they came out of their respective tents, they suddenly discovered that the world's spiritual energy was coming from all directions, rushing into Tang Xiu's tent just like tidal waves. In but a flash, they realized that it was due to the action of their sect master. This is an opportunity. Cultivating in this spiritual energy-rich environment will speed up my practice several times. A Tang sect disciple muttered to himself with a pensive look. Chapter 1062, Making a Clean Sweep. Many people around heard the voice of that Tang sect disciple. Everyone's eyes immediately lit up and they went straight into their own respective tents, and began their best to absorb the world's spiritual qi. Such a high concentration of world energy was a very good opportunity for them. Although it was the world energy attracted by Tang Xiu, they could also use this opportunity to speed up their cultivation. As expected, their cultivation speed was faster by several times in the unusually rich spiritual energy environment. Even a particular disciple who was on the verge of breaking through, taking medicinal pills, refining its medicinal force and finally absorbing the world's spiritual energy, he finally succeeded in breaking through and became a mid-stage foundation establishment expert after half a day. Night came and a cold wind howled from the depths of the Himalayas, blowing the clothes of many cultivators, who held their respective weapons, and relieving some of their tensions. Attention to everyone at the Western Front. A wave of the demonic beasts is heading to your direction, and they are preparing a sneak attack. The number is not that many, about 100. Damn. Correction. Pay attention to those at the Western Front. A horde of demonic beasts is heading to attack your location about 10 kilometers away from you. For God's sake, there are tons of them. At least 1,000. In the military tent assigned for the monitoring station, the member of the Special Abilities Bureau, who previously looked relaxed, abruptly stood straight with an anxious look as he announced. At this moment, nearly 100 cultivators at the Western Front heard the announcement from the surveillance personnel through their walkie-talkies. All of them got up and grabbed their weapons, guarding all the possible dangers brought by the arrival of demonic beasts. Tang Xiu, we need your assistance. There are too many demonic beasts, and they are now heading to the Western Front. Tang Xiu, who was still sitting cross-legged in cultivation, suddenly heard Duanmu Lin's voice from the communicator. He immediately opened his eyes and his figure floated. After dashing outside, he shouted, "All the disciples of Tang's sect, heed my order. Go to the western line at once and be prepared to support them." Whoosh! 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 Figures emerged from each military tent, each of whom exuded formidable aura and quickly lined up in teams. Go! Tang Xiu stayed no longer. The distance from the encampment to the western front was several kilometers, so they had to hurry up and join the fight alongside the defense personnel at the western line. Kill! 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 When Tang Xiu's group arrived, Duanmu Lin brought the experts from the Special Abilities Bureau and they joined forces with the cultivators at the western front to fight the demonic beasts together. However, the overall strength of experts from the Special Abilities Bureau was weak. Even though their various special abilities were basically endless, they kept being forced back again and again by the demonic beasts. There were over 1,000 demonic beasts, and more than 30 of them had power at the Golden Core stage, with hundreds being flying type. The battle just started in a few minutes, yet the members of the Special Abilities Bureau and cultivators at the Western Front had already suffered some losses. Tang Xiu's figure shot into midair and instantly unleashed his divine sword, brandishing it toward the flapping flying type demonic beasts in the sky. Overlapping sword lights flashed as meteors. The space barrier was as thought being ripped open instantly, causing a mess in the formation of several hundreds of flying type demonic beasts. Die. After the brief strike, Tang Xiu immediately locked 6 demonic beasts with Golden Core stage strength. His flicked silver needles to strike their eyes while flashes of lightning blasted out of thin air to smite the bird species demonic beasts. Paralyzing effect. It was the best effect brought about by lightning strikes. The instant those bird species demonic beasts became momentarily paralyzed, several silver needles pierced the eyes of 4 bird species demonic beasts with Golden Core strength. Right as they lost their sight, the divine sword was as though turning into a long rainbow and powerfully crushing down to slay them. The strike made them collapse and killed them instantly. Tens of Tang's sect disciples at the Foundation establishment stage soared at the same time, and charged into the bird species demonic beasts formation with Tang Xiu. Even though they only knew a few magical spells, they could still use some simple ones. With the aid of their respective immortal sword, their blows immediately made the several hundreds of flying demonic beasts into a mess. On the ground below, over 100 Tang sect disciples had formed a sword formation that held its might to steamroll a group of demonic beasts. Their previous injuries had been healed and, with their improved strength, the might they unleashed brought about a powerful momentum and directly controlled the situation. Die. Guyin brandished the sword in her hand. Her figure constantly flickered around a certain demonic beast, and every strike of her sword left a bleeding wound on its body. Bastards from the immortal world. A late-stage Golden Core demonic beast, who also acted as the commander of this horde, looked frightened upon seeing a lot of humans unleashing their respective immortal swords. Back in the past, it was never afraid of any common immortals in the immortal world. But at present, its strength had been greatly reduced at only 1,000th of its previous power. Just one immortal was already enough to kill all of them now. Boom. The 2 cultivators who besieged it were directly blown away by it, one of whom had his arm torn apart directly. The fear on its face suddenly subsided. It found that these humans who just unleashed immortal swords turned out to be very weak, even much weaker than itself. Upon finding this, it was suddenly overjoyed and continued to charge toward the humans. Go to hell. Gu Yin's speed was very fast. But that late-stage Golden Core demonic beast had severely injured or killed as many as 10 ability users and cultivators, and now it appeared before Gu Yin. Its sharp claws swept over her shoulder and directly tore off a piece of her flesh, leaving a bleeding wound on her shoulder. Bastard. Mo, who had always been around Gu Yin, was furious. He knew Gu Yin's position in Tang Xiu's heart and how important Mu Qingping was to Tang Xiu. If Gu Yin were to die in this battle, it would definitely make Tang Xiu and Mu Qingping deeply grieved. That shit is too fast. A look of madness on his face, Mo was aware that the difference between their strength was like a chasm. He wouldn't be able to block that late-stage golden core demonic beast no matter how he erupted his maximum speed. Lightning Pearl Net. Gu Yin suppressed the pain on her shoulder, dashed towards Mo and shouted softly. She was no longer a rookie with no combat experience, although she was not much stronger. As a weak lightning net blitzed into a single stretch and fended off that late-stage golden core demonic beast, she already dashed to Mo's side and said aloud, "Uncle Ao, I can't beat this demonic beast. It's too powerful. If you can't beat it, then run," Mo sharply said. "Hao Lei, Jin Shi, come and join me to deal with it. Kill. Kill." Hao Lei and Jin Shi, who had killed a lot of demonic beasts, bolted toward Mo and Gu Yin instantly. Although Jin Shi and Mo had yet to advance to the Golden Core stage, they were at the peak stage of Foundation establishment. With the four of them joining hands, they were barely able to fight back this demonic beast with late-stage Golden Core strength. At this moment, tens of cultivators were rushing over from the distance like a whirlwind. The one in front was a Taoist nun with a sword on her back. She rushed to the edge of the battlefield and shouted, "Join the battle and kill these demonic beasts." In the air, Tang Xiu, who was in a killing frenzy and slaughtering the flying demonic beasts, was also observing the battles. He heaved a sigh of relief when he spotted Daoist Zixuan lead the people from the whole unitary sect into the battlefield. Daoist Zixuan was a Golden Core stage expert, and there were 10 people in her group whose auras were also at the Golden Core stage, whereas the rest had the strength at the Foundation establishment stage. Die, evil beasts. The first target of Daoist Zixuan's violent strike was the late-stage Golden Core demonic beast that was fighting Mo, Gu Yin, Jin Shi, and Hao Lei. Lightning bolts struck down from the sky and directly forced the demonic beast to change its offensive stance to a defensive one. The sword lights then bloomed like flowers. Blossoming sword images instantly wrapped the demonic beast. Right at this moment, Hao Lei shouted loudly as she fiercely slashed her immortal sword at the demonic beast. Roar. The late-stage Golden Core demonic beast howled as a bloody wound was inflicted on its body. The injury was not serious, yet it realized that the newly arrived human woman also had a fearsome power. Therefore, it didn't want to be engaged in a fight any longer. Observing as its surrounding companions were killed one after another, it suddenly roared again and turned around to flee to the depths of the mountain range. Back to the air, Tang Xiu had hunted and killed tens of flying demonic beasts, while the rest who joined him also had killed dozens of them. The moment that late-stage Golden Core demonic beast roared, the remaining flying demonic beasts also suddenly fled to the depths of the mountain range. Chase them. The pursuit only lasted for about 10 kilometers, but the 10 kilometers path left behind the remains of tens of demonic beasts. After this battle, less than 400 demonic beasts were killed from the 1,000. However, more than 10 ability users from the Special Abilities Bureau had been killed, along with more than 10 cultivators, while nearly everyone else had suffered injuries. Daoist Tang. There was a vague, hidden smile as Daoist Zixuan came to Tang Xiu and saluted with cupped fists. After returning the courtesy, Tang Xiu smilingly said, "We wouldn't have been able to repel those demonic beasts this easily and have such a good record like this, if it wasn't for you leading a large team to aid us, Daoist Zixuan." "This is what we should do, Daoist Tang," replied Daoist Zixuan with a smile. "But still, I never thought there were so many demonic beasts in the Himalayas. Daoist Tang, can you tell me if these demonic beasts come from another world? My guess is they should come from the demon realm, though I have no idea how." Tang Xiu nodded. The smile on Daoist Zixuan's face receded and she spoke again, "The ancient records in my sect mention that too, but I never thought that the demonic beast's existence was really true." Daoist Tang. Chapter 1063, Transaction. Tang Xiu contemplated about the issue Daoist Zixuan just asked. But he thought that there should no spatial rift between Earth and the demon realm, given the stability of the space on Earth. Otherwise, there would have been countless demonic beasts rushing out of the Himalayas and the Earth would have been overrun and occupied by them already. But then again, there was that Diabolos Precantator clan. This race was very formidable. Yet tens of millions Diabolos Precantator experts had been imprisoned on Earth and couldn't leave prior to this. No matter how powerful these demonic beasts were, it was just impossible to even mention that they were stronger than the Diabolos Precantator race. Furthermore, what appeared in the Himalayas were only demonic beasts. There were not any kinds of demon races. He surmised it was very likely that these demonic beasts were also imprisoned on Earth, and the likelihood that it was very difficult for them to leave the Himalayas was high. So to say, there should be a problem with the array that sealed them in the Himalayas, which led them to appear outside the Himalayas, causing the deaths of many people. It's unlikely we'll have the chance to investigate the specific reason. The depths of the Himalayas are like a restricted, forbidden area to humans. I myself have no means to traverse deep into these demonic beasts' nest, so I can't figure out what is stored therein, said Tang Xiu with a helpless face. Daoist Zixuan nodded wordlessly. She then turned around to look at the messy scene. Then she spoke, "Can we still count your word about our previous business deal? If so, shall we have a private chat?" "Of course, the deal is still on." Tang Xiu nodded and said, "The disciples of whole unitary sect walk on the right path of the world, so it's just natural that our deal is still effective. Besides, both of our sides strive for common goals, so we need each other to become more powerful." A smile appeared on Daoist Zixuan's face. Tang Xiu's attitude was much to her satisfaction. More so that she also heard him say, "the right path of the world." If Tang Xiu himself had no righteous heart, even if she could get a lot of things that were beneficial for them, she wouldn't trade with him since she didn't want the whole unitary sect to fall in grace and help a tyrant do evil deeds. Tang Xiu raised his hand to interrupt her and glanced at the two people behind her. Then, he whispered, "Let's not mention our transaction for the time being. The person in charge of the national security guarding this place is coming. I'll introduce you to him first." Upon hearing his words, Daoist Zixuan turned around. After she saw Duanmu Lin with a few experts from the Special Abilities Bureau coming over, she immediately nodded without anyone noticing. She didn't want the business deal between the whole unitary sect and Tang Xiu to be known by outsiders, even if Duanmu Lin was an official of China. Duanmu Lin came toward Tang Xiu and Daoist Zixuan. After observing the latter for some time, he said with a respectful face, "Thank you for your assistance. Our losses would have been bigger if it wasn't for your timely help. I'm Duanmu Lin, the director of China's Special Abilities Bureau. I'm from the whole unitary sect, Daoist Zixuan." Daoist Zixuan slightly nodded and replied curtly. Tang Xiu smiled and said, "Senior Duanmu, this is Daoist Zixuan from the Taoist monastic sect overseas whom I mentioned to you before. Your statement just now is correct. The price we paid would have been bigger even if it wasn't for their timely assistance." "The whole unitary sect does deserve to be called a righteous sect," exclaimed Duanmu Lin in a sigh. "You are residing overseas, yet you still care about our country. I've just seen your strength. You're all very powerful." Even that terrible demonic beast was struck so hard by Daoist Zixuan. That was amazing. "All right, I'll send people to arrange the campsite and the necessities you need." "That's so polite of you, Director Duanmu. However, we'll stay in Tang Xiu's campsite for the time being," said Daoist Zixuan. "We are people of the cultivation path. I have many things about cultivation that I need to ask him about." Duanmu Lin's face shifted. He then nodded and said, "No problem. I'll immediately send people to place your camp near Tang Xiu's people, so you can talk about cultivation. Tang Xiu, you can assign your men to gather up the remains of demonic beasts. I told you that I'll definitely keep my promise to give you all the demonic beasts' corpses. Many thanks, Senior Duanmu. Tang Shou smiled. Duanmu Lin let out a faint smile as well. Even though more than 20 people died from the battle they had just gone through, the result was much to his satisfaction. They were not just able to fend off such a large-scale attack, but also successfully killed hundreds of them, a result beyond his expectation. Shortly after, Duanmu Lin left and Daoist Zixuan looked at Tang Shou, asking, Duanmu Lin just said that he's giving you all the remains of demonic beasts, right? What are you going to do with them? Some materials on demonic beasts are beneficial for my cultivation, so I'm now collecting them. Tang Shou smilingly said, well, some can be used as ingredients for medicinal pills, some can be used by artificers to refine better divine armaments. Daoist Zixuan shot him a look of admiration. She knew Tang Shou understood alchemy as well as being an artificer himself. But she didn't expect that Tang Shou could also make use of demonic beasts' remains. Then, let's spare our time for our transaction, Daoist Tang. We brought a lot of resources with us this time, I'm sure you'll be satisfied with them. Daoist Zixuan looked a bit impatient because she wanted to get the things in Tang Shou's hand earlier. Tang Shou slightly nodded. He glanced at the disciples of the Tang sect who were collecting the remains of demonic beasts and immediately waved to Hao Lei, who was not far away. After she came over, he said, lead everyone back to the camp after you're done collecting the demonic beasts' remains. I've only fulfilled one of my promises before. Hao Lei's expression slightly shifted, expectation coming into her eyes. Tang Shou's previous commitment had been fulfilled, such as giving her a lot of cultivation resources. There was only one left, and that was becoming a commander of the sect. Understood. Hao Lei replied curtly and subconsciously glanced at Mo and Jing Shi. She knew that they were like Tang Shou's confidants. They had been following Tang Shou for a long time, whereas her contact with Tang Shou was even shorter than Shi Nan's. However, as long as she became the future commander of any of the sect's army corps, her identity would be completely different and her status would be above Mo and Jing Shi. Quickly after, Tang Shou and Daoist Zixuan saw the campsite occupied by Tang sect disciples. After entering the tent, Tang Shou directly handed over the cultivation manual up to the Great Ascension stage to Daoist Zixuan and lightly said, you can read the content of this cultivation art at ease. I also have some immortal swords in my interspatial ring. It's just that I need to appraise the number of resources you brought first. If they are enough, I can definitely give you a fair exchange. The excitement was evident in Daoist Zixuan's eyes. Her hands were even slightly trembling. After receiving the cultivation manual, she looked at Tang Shou and said, are you not afraid that I'll just leave without giving you the cultivation resources after reading this cultivation art? Well, I trust you. More so that I believe that no one in this world dares to play me. Besides, you must have more cards in hand if you want to be stronger, no? Tang Shou shook his head and smilingly said. Cards in hand? As in, he has still more cards in hand? Daoist Zixuan shot a deep look at Tang Shou. She opened the classics and read it quietly. After reading for 10 minutes, excitement fully painted her face. She repeatedly nodded and said, it's all true. One definitely can cultivate up to the Great Ascension stage by following this cultivation art manual. Daoist Tang, your words bring honesty, and it's really enjoyable to trade with you. This bracelet is an object left behind by the ancestors of the whole unitary sect. All the cultivation resources we brought are stored inside it. Tang Shou nodded. After Hao Lei, Mo, and Jing Shi came inside, they then saw Daoist Zixuan take out a massive number of cultivation resources from the interspatial jade bracelet. The appraising and counting process took nearly an hour before all the cultivation resources brought by Daoist Zixuan had finally been verified. Tang Shou was very excited even though he didn't show it. The whole unitary sect's people had brought many cultivation resources, more than he had previously imagined. many of which were precious ores he never thought he could get from them before. All right, it's a deal then. Tang Xiu took out an immortal sword and directly handed it over to Daoist Sixuan, saying, although the resources brought by your whole unitary sect are not that many, you're willing to stay to help the country to exterminate demonic beasts. I count that as a favor, so I'm willing to trade this with you. As a matter of fact, had it been in the immortal world, the number of resources brought by Daoist Sixuan was absolutely not enough to exchange for any immortal swords. But this place was Earth. What Tang Xiu needed the most at present was not immortal swords, but cultivation resources. All the cultivators he had been training also needed these resources. All things considered, the trade might look like a loss, but Tang Xiu himself was very satisfied with it. Daoist Sixuan took over the immortal sword and the excitement on her face turned more intense. She and the elders from the whole unitary sect didn't expect that Tang Xiu would really trade them an immortal sword, because they all knew the value of this sword. Thanks a lot, Daoist Tang. With a grateful yet solemn face, Daoist Sixuan expressed her thanks. Please don't mind it. For the time to come, we're comrades who fight side by side, to begin with. Tang Xiu shook his head and smilingly said, I'm giving you this immortal sword so you can also increase your combat power. Also, I have no more immortal swords and cultivation manuals to trade, but I still have a few other good things. I believe that your whole unitary sect will also be interested in them. For example, asked Daoist Sixuan hurriedly with a moved expression. Such as combat techniques, martial arts, or secret arts, said Tang Xiu smilingly. Do you want to get my lightning evoker art? I also have many magic spells and divine arts, interspatial rings, and some other things that are useful to cultivators. Don't tell me you don't need them? Daoist Sixuan's expression turned vacant as she stared blankly at Tang Xiu. Suddenly, she had a feeling that the person standing in front of her was not a human being, but a treasure vault. What kind of vestige or ruin did he find, exactly? What kind of inheritance did he obtain? How come he has so many things, more than everything the whole unitary sect accumulated for so many years? And yet, it sounds like his treasures are simply astronomical in number. Chapter 1064, Love Rival. After completing the transaction, Tang Xiu sent Daoist Sixuan off. He immediately looked at Jing and said in a deep voice, return to Nine Dragons Island with these cultivation resources immediately. After handing them over to Ji Qimei, tell her to fully invest her time in concocting medicinal pills. If she has no time to concoct them, then wait for me to solve the problem here. I'll refine them myself later. I'll leave immediately. Jin nodded. Be careful on the road, said Tang Xiu. Try not to be discovered by any cultivator. I have another task for you to carry out after you're done delivering these medicinal herbs to Nine Dragons Island though. And the mission is, asked Jin. We'll need a lot of ordinary minerals if we are going to manufacture tools and weapons, such as steel, iron, gold, silver, etc. You're responsible for purchasing these materials, ordered Tang Xiu. Contact Xiao Xue and tell her that I have some problem with funds in the short term. Ask her how much money she has. Tell her to give all the funds available to buy the materials needed for refinement. I'll convey your message to her, replied Jin solemnly. After sending Jin off, Tang Xiu immediately shifted his focus to Hao Lei and said in a deep voice, You're a guardian elder of the Tang sect from henceforth. You'll get double the annual resource allocation. You're also qualified to be involved in any important issues pertaining to the sect's affairs in the future. A happy and surprised look filled Hao Lei's eyes. Although she was prepared to get a promotion, she never thought that she would be directly promoted to elder of the Tang sect. This status alone was a level higher than Moao's and Jin Shi's. At the side, Moao looked envious. He also wanted to be the Tang sect's guardian elder, but he had yet to advance to the golden core stage, a fact that made him extremely distressed. Tang Xiu shifted his eyes to him and calmly said, I've already prepared 6 quotas for elder seats. But you'll need to rely on yourself to become the first to advance to the golden core stage among the rest of the sect's disciples. Go now and notify everyone else that Hao Lei has become a guardian elder of our Tang sect. Understood. Mo respectfully nodded and quickly withdrew from the tent. As his eyes landed on Hao Lei again, Tang Xiu spoke with a contented face. I have my own list of people who I thought would be the first ones to break through to the golden core stage. But I never thought it would be you. Hao Lei, the path of cultivation does stress the importance of talent, resources, and also opportunities. I don't care about any fortuitous encounter you may have encountered, but I want you to remember one thing. You were born in Tang sect and you'll also die in Tang sect. Those who will regard you as our own will be I and the people from the Tang sect. This Hao Lei will etch your admonishment in her heart, sect master, said Hao Lei respectfully. Tang Xiu nodded at her response and smilingly said, Go then. Advancing to the golden core stage is merely the start on the cultivation path. I hope you will also become the first who advances to the nascent soul stage. Nascent soul stage? A resolute look filled Hao Lei's eyes as she replied in a deep voice, I'll definitely redouble my efforts, sect master. Quickly after, the matter that Hao Lei had become a guardian elder of the Tang sect was known to all disciples of the Tang sect. Apart from strong envy from the rest, they also held a bit of respect for her. They were crystal clear how Tang Xiu treated those under him. He would prioritize the strong ones. No matter the status and resource rewards, what they would obtain were not comparable to others. At this moment, breaking through to the golden core stage was the dream of the other Tang sect disciples. Yet, the first one to achieve it was Hao Lei. Furthermore, Tang Xiu himself promised that the first 6 among the Tang sect disciples who reached this stage would become the guardian elders of the sect. This reward ignited everyone's fighting spirit. 2 days later, Tang Xiu, who was quietly cultivating in the military tent, was suddenly interrupted by the ringing sound of his communicator. After he grabbed it, he saw the number displayed on the screen. A vague killing intent covered his face as he asked after putting it through, Is there any other large-scale demonic beast attack on the blockade line, Senior Duanmu? We got no signs of demonic attack as of now, Tang Xiu. But I've invited a lot of cultivators and many of them are powerful people. I'm calling you over since I want you to get to know them. Duanmu Lin's voice and laughter came from the communicator. He was obviously in a great mood at the moment. Tang Xiu was silent for a moment and then said, I'm now at the critical moment of my cultivation, so I have no time to waste, Senior Duanmu. We can delay the introduction for those who can fight the demonic beasts later, but I can't attend it now. Duanmu Lin hesitated for a moment before forcing a smile and replied, All right, then. Since you don't want to be disturbed, then let's drop it off. It's just that I was boasting about you before everyone else. It would be quite regretful for everyone if you don't come. Tang Xiu lightly chuckled and hung up. After half an hour, a chilling wind blew and there was a commotion outside the military tent, directly disturbing Tang Xiu's cultivation. He floated up and appeared outside the tent as he saw more than 10 strangers standing outside the campsite. However, several disciples of Tang sect seemed to be fully on guard, confronting them like enemies. What happened? After striding over, Tang Xiu carefully observed those several people in front and turned his head to ask. They said they want to see you, but their attitude is really appalling. Especially that kid in front. He's very arrogant, hurling insults at us, replied Mo in a deep voice. Tang Xiu's eyes landed on the young man who led the group. He furrowed his brows and said, This place is the campsite of my Tang sect. Don't disturb us if you don't have anything important to say. Also, we don't know each other and I don't think I've offended you either. What are the rudeness and insults for? The young man donned in white had an elegant bearing and handsome face, yet his haughtiness was more evident. His eyes were slightly raised when he saw Tang Xiu. Are you Tang Xiu? I am, replied Tang Xiu indifferently. And your distinguished self is? I'm Bai Yuheng, the young master of the Bai clan from the Miao region. The young man sneered. Blind ancestress is truly getting old, isn't she? To think that she can no longer think straight and became confused, even entrusting Shuiyu to you? I've sent people to investigate you. You're the owner of magnificent Tang Corporation, the scion of the Tang family from Beijing, and also a renowned young divine doctor. But let me tell you, your identities are worthless in my eyes. You called old blind your ancestress, yet you don't know how rude and bad it is insulting your own ancestor? Said Tang Xiu with a deep voice and cold face. I don't give a damn who I am myself. What I can see is that you seem to have come here only for provocation. You're right. Bai Yuheng sneered. This young master did come here to provoke you. Today, Duanmu Lin called you for the introduction, but you refused to attend and said you're in cultivation and whatnot. Humph. Don't think I didn't investigate that you're also a cultivator and an expert yourself. But in my eyes, you're nothing but a fart compared to me. If you know what's good for you, leave Shuiyu. She's not someone you can get. So, you're provoking me because of Shuiyu? Asked Tang Xiu in a deep voice. Bai Yuheng flopped the fan in his hand and shot a, you turn out to be not that stupid, look at Tang Xiu. You guessed it. It's because of Shuiyu. Rumor has it she's the most beautiful woman in our Miao region. It's just natural that she can only be my woman. But you're not worthy of her. Whether I'm worthy of her or not is not your damn business, to begin with. Tang Xiu sneered back and said, let me tell you, Shuiyu is already my woman, and she will still be my woman later. If you dare to harbor any thoughts and try anything untoward to her, then don't blame for cleaning you up later. Bai Yuheng looked around and immediately burst into laughter. You're fucking gonna clean me up? That's the shittiest joke I've ever heard in my life. Just relying on you alone, Tang Xiu? What the fuck are you gonna do, huh? Order these trash with street kung fu to pack me up? My Bai clan can overwhelm you with numbers and power as we have tons of powerful people. We used to stay low-key and forbearing since we didn't want to be noticed by others. But now, we all left the Miao region to this place only to help defend against demonic beasts. We no longer have to remain low-key anymore, so let me see your skills and what you can do. Young lord. A stalwart man paced 2 steps forward and whispered, Young lord, Patriarch has decreed that you are not to make trouble here. If you want to deal with some people, there's no need to touch him directly. Just let him know when we're killing the demonic beasts. If he knows the big disparity between you and him, he'll give up the jade beauty without a fuss. Bai Yuheng gave a thought to his suggestion and felt that it was sound. He suddenly shot a provocative look at Tang Xiu and said aloud, Hey, Tang boy, do you dare to bet with me? What do you want to bet? Tang Xiu replied with a sneer. Let's compete in how many demonic beasts we can kill later. Bai Yuheng grinningly said, If the number of demonic beasts I and my people kill is more than yours, then you'll give up on Shuiyu and get far away from her. Then, what if I win? Asked Tang Xiu. What if you win? You can never win, replied Bai Yuheng with contempt. A gamble must have something to bet with to be fair, said Tang Xiu indifferently. So mine is that you'll never see Shuiyu again for the rest of your life if I win. You're also to immediately run and hide from me if you see me later. How about it? A scowl appeared on Bai Yuheng's face and he loudly replied, Deal. But I have additional conditions. If I win, then you must not only stay away from Shuiyu but also kneel and kowtow to me thrice to admit that you're much worse than me. Tang Xiu squinted his eyes and coldly snorted. Humph, you added Moray's condition, so I'll also add mine. If I win, all the remains of demonic beasts you've hunted will be mine. But you and I will enter the depths of the Himalayas to kill 10 demonic beasts alone. At Tang Xiu's response, Bai Yuheng rolled his eyes and said aloud, I give you my word, so the gamble is now fixed. Then get the fuck out of here since you've complied, said Tang Xiu apathetically. Let's meet at the blockade line tomorrow morning. Bai Yuheng tightly clenched his fists and glared at Tang Xiu. No one has ever dared to talk to me in this tone all my life. No one. You're the first to say that, and you will also be the last. Tang punk, I'll make you regret talking to me with that fucking attitude. You'll regret offending me. You know, a man doesn't need to run his mouth fast, but he only needs to speak with his actions. Tang Xiu sneered. Let's see who'll have the last laugh. Bai clan, humph, I really hope that you won't make a fool out of your family, let alone bring a calamity upon them. Chapter 1065, Slaughters. Standing in front of the tent, Tang Xiu's gaze followed Bai Yuheng's group as they left. Then, he immediately turned to look at Immortal and said in a deep tone, pass my message to everyone to be careful. That Bai kid is not a good man. His strength may not be that strong, but he's harboring bad intentions. Why not kill them directly, sect master, asked Immortal. The country needs more people right now, said Tang Xiu faintly. Moreover, be it Bai Yuheng or the people around him, they are not weak. Especially those two old geezers behind him. They may not be as strong as golden core stage cultivators, but it's likely they can match a late-stage foundation establishment expert. Killing them will waste more cannon fodder, so it's best to let them fight the demonic beasts and die in their claws. Mo Og caught the intention quickly and smilingly nodded. You're right, sect master. They're going to die in any case. They might as well help us kill some demonic beasts. All right, I'll immediately tell everyone else. Should they dare to do anything shady to us, they are to capture them immediately. Tang Xiu returned to the military tent and immediately took out his communicator to dial Gu Xiaoxue's cell number. After his call was picked up, he asked, how is Shuiyu's situation? Has she come out yet? I've seen Master personally, Grand Master. She said she doesn't know when Shuiyu will come out. It's because she's inside the demon horde array. She won't be able to come out of the array if the demons inside the array have yet to be exterminated completely. Yan actually arranged a demon horde array, asked Tang Xiu in amazement. Yes. Xiaoxue also wanted to enter the demon horde array, but Master said the array's might is too powerful for me. Even 9 out of 10 golden core stage experts will die inside it. She said only those at least at the nascent soul stage would have a chance to survive inside. I see. Tang Xiu nodded and said, tell Yan that once Shuiyu comes out to immediately rush back to China. I'll be waiting for her on the mainland. Understood, answered Gu Xiaoxue respectfully. After hanging up, Tang Xiu seemed to contemplate something. The demon horde array was a very suitable array for training, and many small and large sects in the immortal world normally arrange this array with various levels of power to train their disciples. Gu Yan seemed to really care about Shuiyu since she arranged the demon horde array for her training. As the next day came, Duanmu Lin passed the news in the evening to inform Tang Xiu of the demonic beast's emergences. There was a strange occurrence, however, since those demonic beasts didn't attack the blockade line immediately, but stopped about 5 kilometers away, as if waiting for something. Quickly after, Tang Xiu appeared at the defensive line and saw that there were not only many cultivators who he had never seen, but also that by clan scion, Bai Yuheng. Humph. Upon seeing Tang Xiu, Bai Yuheng directly made a gesture of neck slashing and haughtily raised his head. Feeling too lazy to bother his antics, Tang Xiu went towards Duanmu Lin and asked, how many demonic beasts are there now, Senior Duanmu? About 260 plus in total, answered Duanmu Lin. But I just informed you that another group of them is coming boasting similar numbers, around 300 demonic beasts. They haven't come here and just stopped at the periphery. But I suspect these two groups of demonic beasts are acting like the vanguards of an army. Could it be that they are preparing something like a massive scale attack? It's possible, I think. Tang Shou said, we've killed many demonic beasts for the last few days, yet they are still fearless to attack the blockade line again and again. I think they're testing the waters. And this time, it's almost time for them to test a large-scale attack. We can handle it if the number of the demonic beasts is less than 1,000, but over that is impossible, said Duanmu Lin with a heavy face. I must inform you that we have yet to find and collect all the materials needed for that geomancy array, so we can expect a massive loss on our side if we are to face them head-on. We have no choice but to kill them to the best of our abilities, said Tang Shou. We can't just let them breach the blockade line even if we all die in battle. That's right, there's one thing I missed before. Why would these demonic beasts keep heading towards us? The Himalayas are very vast, while our blockade line only stretches out for tens of kilometers. What if those demonic beasts come out from other places? Several groups of our armed forces have already blocked several regions of our country. We have also installed monitoring equipment in many special areas and some spy satellites in space to monitor them. But still, we haven't spotted any signs of demonic beasts in other regions. I suspect there's a huge array in the depths of the Himalayas, but it has been breached and the exit is right in front of the scope of our blockade line. Tang Shou was silent for a moment. Then, he nodded and said, your conjecture is reasonable. Yet, we can't neglect to guard the other regions either. How about forming a patrol squad? In case the common people can't spot them, cultivators can discover them in advance. It's just for precaution since there can be no slight negligence in this case. I'll arrange it immediately after we repel this attack. Duanmu Lin nodded. Time ticked and 4 hours passed by in the blink of an eye. A cultivator was sitting cross-legged under the curtain of the dark night while calmly waiting for the arrival of the demonic beast's horde. From the footage sent by the surveillance equipment, the number of demonic beasts kept increasing and there were now over 1,000 of them gathered 5+ kilometers away from them, reporting, Sir. They are moving just now. Aquababe, donning a stinted camouflage suit, dashed and appeared before Duanmu Lin. With a changed complexion, Duanmu Lin shouted, Attention, everyone. The horde of demonic beasts has begun rushing towards our position. Get ready to fight. Tang Shou squinted his eyes. He looked at Hao Lei and the others. All of them had gathered up and Hao Lei was standing close to Guyin. After over a minute, shadows of demonic beasts had appeared in the sight of hundreds of people. Searchlights illuminated the surrounding area like daylight as hundreds of cultivators quickly rushed toward the demonic beasts. Tang Shou himself had yet to lead the Tang sect people to get into action and just stood quietly at the blockade line, even though their aura kept soaring. Duanmu Lin hadn't moved either. He turned his head to look at Tang Shou and said in a deep voice, We'll hand over the flying demonic beasts to you later. Those abominable flying beasts are truly hateful. They just hover in the sky and dive down, again and again, to strike us and cause no small casualties. Tang Shou shifted his eyes at the sky ahead. Then, he nodded and said, I've manufactured many charms in the last 2 days. Well, let's just have those flying demonic beasts to taste how it feels to get burned by the raging flames. Duanmu Lin slightly nodded and said, Let's move now. Well, you should have heard the bet between me and that Bai clan's young master, Bai Yuheng, right? Please assign some people to count the number of demonic beasts killed by us both, said Tang Shou. There's no need for that. This area is covered by our surveillance equipment. Every move and action of yours and any demonic beasts you've killed will be recorded. We can count it later after the end of the battle. All right then. Tang Shou curtly replied and immediately made a gesture to take action. Along with 200 experts of the Tang sect, he soared into the sky and quickly lunged towards the bird species demonic beasts in the sky. Some of them formed a sword formation with their immortal swords, some unleashed their respective magic swords to form a sword array like a rainbow, instantly disrupting the formation of flying demonic beasts in the sky. Kill. Tang Shou unleashed his divine sword. His body flickered from one spot to another from time to time. But some demonic beasts would be killed every time he moved. Damn human. 10 flying demonic beasts approached fast from the hundreds of others. They didn't move to target the other Tang sect disciples, but flapped their wings and flew fast towards Tang Xiu. The shadows of their feathery wings were like a stream of lights as though falling meteors as they instantly appeared in front of Tang Xiu. Magical spells and divine abilities? Tang Xiu's complexion instantly turned solemn. He had killed many flying demonic beasts before, many of whom had power at the Golden Core stage. But this was his first time encountering flying demonic beasts who could use magical spells and divine abilities. To his further surprise, all of these 10 flying demonic beasts were able to unleash magical spells and their own unique abilities. While the most remarkable thing was their power, which could rival experts at the Golden Core stage. They are targeting me. A chilling light flashed in Tang Xiu's eyes. He instantly shot his divine sword to the 10 flying demonic beasts bolting towards him. At the same time, he cast a secret art and heavenly thunderbolts blitzed down from the sky. Lightning sparks the size of an arm bolted down and bombarded a certain demonic beast. Commander. Suddenly, the 10 flying demonic beasts let out a voice in the human language. Amid their roars, a demonic beast with charred body appeared out of thin air. This demonic beast had 4 pairs of wings, 4 long feet and, most importantly, it had a half-meter-long tentacle-like antenna on its head. Roar. A thunderous, deafening roar suddenly blasted out in the air. All Tang sect cultivators at the early stage of Foundation establishment felt a faint ache in their eardrums, while their blood and power inside their bodies turned chaotic. The others at the mid-stage and late stage of Foundation establishment looked uncomfortable. It was obvious that the roar had greatly affected them. This flying demonic beast has power at the nascent soul stage? Tang Xiu's face drastically changed. Never did it occur to him that a flying demonic beast with nascent soul stage power would appear here. He was now more certain that these flying demonic beasts were targeting him and had laid out a trap to get him. Pity that you all have underestimated my strength. Tang Xiu was still calm in the midst of peril. He simultaneously unleashed some secret arts and his divine sword and successfully blocked the flying demonic beasts attacking him. At the moment when those 10 flying demonic beasts charged at him again, he immediately grabbed dozens of raging flame charms and activated them without hesitation, causing a raging fire to envelop those 10 Golden Core stage flying demonic beasts. Be ready to get killed if you want to kill me. Overlapping layers of sword lights howled and steamrolled forward toward the demonic beasts in front. Even though they tried to avoid them, they were still unable to evade unscathed and suffered bleeding wounds on their bodies. Boom. A black flame wrapped in an odd-shaped object suddenly clashed with the divine sword controlled by Tang Xiu. An anguished roar from the nascent soul stage flying demonic beast was then heard as the flames suddenly scattered away.